Good evening, friends and colleagues. When I was a young lawyer, I always enjoyed attending these quarterly meetings. I was especially moved during the moments when we honored those who had practiced law for 50 or 60 or even 70 years. I remember sitting at the meetings, watching those remarkable attorneys, and wondering whether one day I would reach that milestone. So I was thrilled to be asked to represent our class at this year's meeting. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but grateful to have the opportunity to speak nonetheless. I'm sure many of us celebrating this milestone find it hard to believe that we've been in practice for 50 years. What a fulfilling half-century it's been. Congratulations to all of the members of all of the classes. In 1992, during my installation speech as Chancellor of the Bar, I said that I love what I do, I love who I do it for, and I love who I do it with. That is as true today as it was then. But as much as I celebrate and cherish our profession, those of you who know me well know that I cannot stay silent in the face of attacks on it. I am gravely concerned. The rule of law and the institutions that depend upon it have reached an inflection point. We are, I believe, in a very dark place. Our institutions of government, which many of us thought immutable, are being dismantled piecemeal. Our respected colleagues in the judiciary and the law itself are under assault, not from external forces, but from harmful and often baseless rhetoric that undermines the foundation upon which not just our profession, but our entire society rests. Through relentless attacks on law firms, lawyers, and judges, Washington is fomenting a dangerous false narrative by dismissing unfavorable rulings and as the work of so-called judges, calling for the disqualification and even the impeachment of judges whose rulings it doesn't like, and scapegoating attorneys as bad guys. They erode public trust in our justice system. This campaign to delegitimize the law is deeply troubling. This is not about politics, it's about principles. When those in power seek to undermine the credibility of our courts and demonize legal professionals, they chip away at the trust people place in this sacred system. The result is a citizenry increasingly disillusioned about the justice system, which is the pillar upon which our democracy rests. As many of you undoubtedly know, I have dedicated my career to representing labor unions. I learned early on of the extraordinary power in unity. When workers stand together, they can achieve goals once thought impossible. I believe the same is true for us. Lawyers, law firms, bar associations must stand united to collectively defend the rule of law. That sentiment was echoed in an opinion piece by Deborah R, published March 25th in the New York Times. Ms. Pearlstein is the director of the program in Law and Public Policy at Princeton University. In an article examining the so-called deal to which the Paul Weiss firm agreed, she wrote of Big Law's deafening silence regarding the president's assault on the legal system. Every individual has an incentive to keep quiet, but if everyone stays silent, all will lose. The problem is understandable. It also is solvable. It requires firms to find the courage to act together, she wrote. And if you think it's easy to cast stones when you're not the victim, rest assured that unions and the bar that represent them are also targets. I agree with Professor Pearlstein. It is time to stand up, not stand down. To be courageous, not cowardly. To show future generations of attorneys what it means to be a Philadelphia lawyer. Think of Rachel Cohen, the young associate at Skadden, who had the courage to write an open letter to Big Law, calling on firms to defend their colleagues and the profession. We need to act collectively. First, we must reaffirm our unwavering commitment to preserving the integrity of the legal system. We're not merely advocates, we are the guardians of justice, and we must lead by example. When our colleagues and the judiciary are vilified, we must defend them boldly and unapologetically. We must demonstrate that lawyers are not pawns to be pitted against one another, but professionals united by our duty to vigorously represent our clients and ensure that laws are applied fairly to all. Second, we must educate the public about the critical role the legal system plays in their lives. The justice system is not an abstract concept. It is what ensures fairness in transactions, protections for civil rights, and a check on abuses of power. The more the public understands this, the harder it becomes to malign the system. The rule of law has endured because those who came before us refused to back down, even in the face of adversity. Now it is our turn to honor that legacy by standing together. We are smart Philadelphia lawyers. An honorific bestowed on Andrew Hamilton in 1734 after he successfully defended Peter Zinger, a New York printer charged with seditious libel for publishing articles critical of the colonial governor. Tonight, I urge all of us to embody that duty to the fullest. Together, we can ensure that no one, not even the most powerful voice in the land, can undermine a system where laws, not individuals, govern society. That is the oath we swore, and we must live up to it. Thank you.